I can see it now. Today I get it. I have nothing left after years of surrendering and getting off it. And then he betrays me, perhaps by dying. And I'm stripped, left with nothing. And that's it. This was a very real experience for me because when Mara Baba died, I had to descend back into normal consciousness. I never wanted to do that again. See, I'm much too idealistic and hopeful. I could never tolerate the true truth. There is no happiness, no great endless bliss on this plane or the next. It's what's left when everything has been taken away in this world and in other worlds. It's already done. There's nothing to get. This is it. Too bad. What am I left with? My conditioning and the rest of my physical life. Stripped away. Strip away those, and what do you have? Bare ass naked. But like I said, I'm too idealistic, too full of Raja Sattva to get it. Besides, these great states will keep me hooked for a long time at this rate. I can't wait to go off and get our next meditation high. Can you, Scott? It's almost 6 p.m. Enough. Too much truth. I feel ill. Paradox, 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 paradox. Now, how do I pass the time? I mean, like, this was a real concern. How do I live? That's the question. And what came back was, any way you like. You're going to be stripped bare ass naked no matter which way you go. If you go with the flow or go kicking and screaming. But this can't be right. What about all those gurus full of compassion and love? If they found this truth, then why then compassion and love? If they found the stripped away truth, bare ass naked truth, where did the compassion and love come from? How come they have that? It is that all that is left when it's been stripped away as a question. I sense this is so. The heckler in me grew quiet. This is the truth. But can it be gotten and fully realized? If there is nothing left, I don't know. Have I gotten this? At some level, it has. It's the sea I swim in, bare ass naked, has already occurred. It's just taking time to fully sink in. I'm at the end of all seeking, and this is it. What are you waiting for? Someone to tell you? See, there's nothing new. The journey is the journey. We all go through this process as we move into alignment with the reality that we are. Now, I knew this back in the year 2000, right? And how did I get in this mess? Because it's very clear that the only way to come to the fullness of love and compassion is by being engaged in existence in emptiness. And that has been the journey ever since. What is this? 2023, 23 years. And life has given me endless opportunities to keep integrating those parts of myself that haven't gotten on board, that it's all lila, that it's not so serious, that these ideals that I have are just imaginings to pass the time. Because the question is, how do you live in your emptiness? I'll tell you how. Because the thing I discovered some years after this was the unquenchable artesian well of divine love and grace. Took years, And then that it showed me how to live. It took me on a current that was already there, got me to India, got me to write this, and has brought me to you now, today. So there is a price of admission, and it's everything. Christ said, leave all, follow me. It was a call to our higher self, and only those who could feel the resonance in them in that call followed him. And maybe they didn't follow him all the way through to the end of his journey, but they got a taste of what the call is. A moment of redemption, of recognizing we're all in this together. We are no different from each other, that we all share the very same essential quality that has brought us into our personhood, brought us into life, brought us into this seeking, brought us the strength and the capacity to go beyond ourselves. It's this current of becoming, which is 100% unadulterated love, even if it means war and devastation and suffering and destruction. Because we have to go through the rite of passage. We have to feel it all. We have to know what it is to emerge out of the condition and discover that underlying fundamental reality that is the emptiness. So I've taken up, found this book in India. It's called Discourses by Marababa. Okay. It's been sitting there since maybe 5 years, 6 years. Because I read this book, and I read this book when I was in my 20s, before I became an architect, everything. I read this almost as many times as I read the Bhagavad Gita. No, I've read the Bhagavad Gita a lot more times because it's a smaller book, easier to go through. And every word of it are my words. Coming through this form, depths of wisdom that at the time I couldn't access, that are here now, revealed. I'm in 15 pages and I'm a mess. And what I'm a mess of is the love, is the purposeful current that has lived me all along. So this is personal. This isn't the emptiness. Because the job is to become fully human, to recover all the nooks and crannies of our personhood, to keep only those that keep us in touch with our purpose, with our touch, with our relationship, growing capacity, growing strength to come into relationship with existence. So much more than anything I would have done individually. And what do I do? Well, because I do it for God, divine's love. I know that this love is for you, that it's divine's love that I partake in. And it overwhelms my idealistic sattva rajas nature like this, because it's so hopeful and so true. It's so full of goodness. It's so pure. It's so always there if we turn to it, if we remember. It's but has been living us all along. So we're actually vehicles already for the emerging reality that you are, so that you can come into life in a whole new paradigm, a whole different quality of being than what you imagined could be possible, even at your greatest reaches of imaginings. Because it all comes down to how we live as an individual person in life. If we don't do that, we miss the fullness of the manifestation of that God's love, this unrelenting current of becoming. It throws us beyond ourselves. It has us commit to things we would never choose to do. It has us let go and get off things that we would never accept before. It allows us to surrender rather than put up with. It allows us to allow it to be as it is, as if forever, even if there's some remnant in you that wants to resent the person or get back at them or whatever it may be. It takes us beyond our humanity. But then at that moment, when we go beyond our humanity, we are growing in our capacity to be fully human and fully divine simultaneously. So Meher Baba knew this path. He went silent when he was 26. He even quit writing when he was 31. He says, I'm not here to teach. I'm here to awaken. That I'm here for the world. And he revealed, the same profound wisdom that has now come to me, but that was there in Hermetes in Egypt, 5,000, 6,000 years ago. Same truth that the Gita teaches. It's like, I can't believe it. It's like he used the Gita to organize what he taught, even though I don't know if he ever read it. He was Persian, raised Zoroastrian, went to a Catholic school and college before he encountered an enlightened master that recognized him and established him what he became about 9 years later. But he came at a different time. This was like 1922, about late 20s. And that's when he began to manifest. He was a contemporary of Sri Aurobindo. They both were almost the same year. He came for the world, like we have actually come for the world. We've all come for the possibility of a new humanity. He actually has a whole chapter on the new humanity. I didn't plagiarize his words. It's just the same thing that lives me as lived him. I can't quite say that's true. I believe he still lives in any way that living matters. He has a book called God Speaks, which redeemed me when I read it at 19 in the midst of my addictions, my negativity, my anger, my hatreds, my rebellions. And I said, who is this person who could say God speaks? Who say he has something to do with God speaking? Until I opened the pages and started reading it. And something in me knew the reality. And I couldn't stop reading it in that whole night, all night long. Big book, that thick. I didn't understand much, but I just knew I wanted to eat it. I wanted to drink it. I wanted to come in. So what is that? That's not an intellectual understanding. That's not a discipline practice. That's not anything that I did. I was the contrary to that. It was grace. The seeming randomness that doesn't have anything to do with our plans and our strategies and our capacities or incapacities. That comes and takes over. And when that moment of spiritual experience happens, you have a sense, more than a sense, an experience. That's why it's called experience, not an awareness. That lands. And where does it land? It lands in the part of your body that's most open. If you're an awareness being, then it lands in that unlimited freedom and spaciousness of the eternal reality without embodiment. If it lands in your heart, just this wave of allness and connection to oneness, and the freedom from fear, and the sense that you're being held, being loved of the heart. And then the gut is this sense of purpose that comes. Oh my God, what is this? How could it exist? How did this happen? Wanting to know more, wanting to live it, wanting to make it real. This is what true embodiment feels like. So spiritual experience is in the body. If it's in the awareness, well, it may never want to come back to the body because it's much better up there in the transcendences than what happens when you find yourself actually in your body, an unfortunate circumstance, a bad set of conditions, your suppressed structures start showing up more vividly because then you're there to receive them. And you say, this is shit, I want to get out. And you spend the rest of your life avoiding embodiment, which is the very reason you awakened in the first place. So the awareness awakening won't last because it's not grounded. It's not anchored in the reality of you as a human being living in the mental, vital, and physical dimensions of human embodiment. A real spiritual experience involves not only realization of the nature of the soul while traversing the higher planes of consciousness, but also a right attitude towards worldly duties. If it loses its connection with the different phases of life, what we have is a neurotic reaction that is far removed from being a spiritual experience. The spiritual experience comes to enliven and energize the new humanity. Can't be a reaction to the stern and uncompromising demand of the realities of life. Those without the capacity for adjustment to the flow of life have a tendency to recoil from these realities and to seek shelter and protection in a self-created fortress of illusions. Such a reaction is an attempt to perpetuate one separate existence by protecting it from the demands made of life. It can only give a pseudo-solution to the problems of life by providing a false sense of security and self-completeness. It is not even an advancement towards the real and lasting solution. On the contrary, it's a sidetrack from the true spiritual path. People will be dislodged again and again from this illusionary shelters by fresh and irresistible ways of life, and will invite upon themselves fresh forms of suffering by seeking to protect their separate existence through escape. This is the Sattvic ego. It gets the first glimpse, the first relationship with the being, and there's a sense of completion. There's natural meditation. The Sattva is greater than the Rajas and Tamas. But the Rajas and Tamas cannot, will be there unless you bring the Sattva and Rajas to that Tamas. There has to be transformation for that what you glimpsed to be real. And the form of that transformation is often, and it's that my experience too, is by going through the developmental stages that all human beings have to go through. Childhood, adolescence, early adulthood, mid-adulthood, late adulthood, later life, preparing for death. These are the stages of human embodiment. These stages, each of which we have to traverse, should our circumstances allow it, in order to come to the fullness of what it means to be human and divine. So it's an unending journey in my experience. It's what I'm living now. And the nature of this journey is not happy and roses. There's a tremendous amount of love and purposefulness and steadiness. A lot of recognitions of what is there that doesn't work, or does work, or only works partially, about how to be effective for me, especially at this late stage of this stage of my life. I am entering into the phase where most people retire. And what it is a sense of tremendous completion, a sense of it's done. That means not that the work is done, but I'm done, that I've met the territory, that I'm maybe not as skillful as I would be in another 10 years, but I know the way forward, no matter what is arising around me. In the same way I knew the way forward back in 2000, when I was overtaken by my reactions and my repulsions and by my Thomas in the Washoe. I had no idea how powerful the reality I was coming into relationship with. That reality is actually not an abstraction. We awaken, self-aware human beings are the ones that make this world real. We, through our attention, power existence to be. If we weren't there, effectively, it wouldn't exist, at least from our individual's perspective. Other domains exist, but not this domain. We are the reality makers. We make our own realities. We're the one who creates reality. And what is this reality? This reality is your purpose for living. This reality is the truth of what you are that's eternal, that never dies, and that this life is just a continuous movement from past lives and into the next lives that may lie ahead for you. There is this grasp that the things that matter have something to do with love, have something to do with the unique form of strength and motivation and purpose that love brings. When we make love real, we become that love. When we choose to love, when we choose to forgive, when we choose to let go and let it be, when we sacrifice our agenda, we sacrifice our projections, we sacrifice our expectations, our hopes, our wishes, that's love. We're relinquishing everything but that love. And even that will disappear in the ultimate reality. But as soon as you pass that phase of samadhi or whatever that ultimate reality may be, you come back into the fullness of what you are in existence. You are the reality creator. Everything that's around your circumstances right now are your creation. You are therefore responsible for keeping it in place, consciously or unconsciously. If it's not what you want, then you have to find the parts of yourself that are still hanging on to the old realities that are preventing you from creating that truer reality that you already know. We're the only ones who can travel that. We're the only ones who can be the vessel for the unfolding of that divine reality that lives all of us who are aware and awakened. It lives everyone else too, but they don't know it. They're just puppets on a string, taken this way and that way by circumstances and events in the world and moods and preferences and the huge ocean of samskara that they carry with them that feeds the wanting, endless wanting, no matter what, keeps endlessly trapping them in the ocean of samskara. Only when you awaken can you emerge from the compelling motivation of desire, the compelling drive of anger, lust, and greed that come out of the frustration of that desire or the fulfillment of a desire that is in essence temporary and passing, always wanting more. always the next meal, always the next relationship, always the next guru, always the next place, always something else than what you are right now, what's happening right here, right now. It's an ocean of wanting. This isn't divine's purpose. This is the nature of the challenge of Prakriti, of the creation. It is an ordeal by which we have to traverse the territory to come out, or we don't get the ultimate prize. We don't find that we are actually the eternal reality. And there's nothing higher than that. And we become, it's not something abstract. It's actually something that allows us to live in ways that we would never have done based on our previous samskaras or inclinations or capacities. And what carries us there is this current of becoming, which is the current of love that never ends. It's always seeking to grow, expand, to become more real in you, in each of us. Okay. I mean, this is, you could call it serious business, but you could also say, this is the real spiritual path. This is what happens. This is what it takes. Our spiritual experience are just the fulsome. As we plow through that in us that is still resisting, still caught up in the samskara, still wanting, still having it her way or his way, still in expectation or hope for how life might be if it was different, until there's nothing left. And then you're useful and a channel and instrument for the current of this becoming. The universe wants nothing more than to be you, to fully inhabit you, if you will allow it. Transformation is the process by which the yet to be conquered territory of the human body is being prepared for a new humanity. Our willingness to move into those structures that lie buried in the constriction of our physical embodiment, to meet them, release the energy in them, make them more open and more resilient and more capable of being an expression of this current of becoming. It'll always be love. Every dimension is pulled to this dimension because here is the Mahananda. Here is the ultimate fulfillment. This is the only place where the fullness of love can be experienced. And that is because we have a physical body. And how blessed we are to have a physical body, to have whatever degree of health and strength and functionality that we have. It's only through the body can the heavens come into earth and manifest. Through us and then ultimately as us. There's so much more here. I look forward to sharing this. Let me read the back of the book to wrap it up. Love has to spring spontaneously from within. It is in no way amenable to any form of inner or outer force. Love and coercion can never go together. But while love cannot be forced upon anyone, it can be awakened through love itself. Love is essentially self-communicative. It's a contagion. Those who do not have it catch it from those who do have it. Those who receive love from others cannot be its recipients without giving a response that in itself is the nature of love, even if it's in repulsion or reaction or fear. True love is unconquerable and irresistible. It goes on gathering power and spreading itself until eventually it transforms everyone it touches. Humanity will attain a new mode of being and life to the free and unhampered interplay of pure love from heart to heart. Is a quote from The New Humanity. All right. So if you haven't been in my other programs, what I'm doing now is we're going to sit together in silence and stillness to allow what's been revealed to sink into your system and to be integrated in your body, more than me just talking and leaving with a 5-minute meditation. We're going to do, I think we have, where's my time? Give me the date. Oh, there it is. About 20 minutes. So dive into your body right now and your felt sense, whatever impact or space you're in. Let that sink in, because that itself, I assure you, is love trying to birth in you. The real love, the true love, the eternal love. hope to see some of you at the upcoming 9-day and also the World Mother Immersion Program that is coming sooner. Thank you. Namaste.